This is Ben Simon, music director of the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra, and I'd like to welcome you to the Simon Says Show. Today, a very special classical Not at the Freight presentation with the Squid Inc. String Quartet. Enjoy! We are speaking with the four members of the Squid Inc. String Quartet from various points in the world. We have Darcy Rindt coming from Arizona, is that right?
It is Arizona. Finally getting some rain and snow here.
We have Jory Fankuchen, violin, coming from San Francisco.
San Bruno now.
San Bruno, excuse me.
We moved to the burbs.
Okay, that's right. Beth Vandervennet, their cellist, who's coming from Oakland, where I am also zooming from.
Hello.
Hi, Beth. Nice to see you. But I think our most far-flung correspondent today is Hrabba Atladottir, coming to us. You pronounce it so much better than I do, Hrabba. Would you tell us where you're coming from?
Frá Íslandi, from Iceland. Hi!
All the way from Iceland, the miracle of modern communications. Darcy, tell us a little about Squid Inc., how it got founded, what you've been doing recently. Tell us about your group.
Thanks for having us, Ben. This is really fun to see everybody because, as we know, it's been a little hard for everybody to be together at the same time. So this is really wonderful to see everybody. We've been playing together for, 10 years. And it started with me a little bit ago, thinking that instead of writing playing other people's arrangements of like rock and alternative music, I thought maybe it'd be fun to give it a try and see what happened. And so I wrote a few arrangements, and they kind of combined classical music and alternative music or rock music, not just because we're string players, but because like the first arrangement I wrote was Roxanne by the Police, but it starts off with the Sibelius Violin Concerto. So it's just kind of all this music works so beautifully, and I thought I'm going to stick it together, and it's a tango, of course. And it seemed to work, and it was really fun to write, and it's really wonderful to play it with these guys. I was kind of like, who do I want to try this with? And I asked these three wonderful people, and they all said, that sounds great. So we started playing some music. We have a lot of arrangements, and we have a number of original tunes as well. One of them is Beth's that you'll hear today, but that's kind of how it started. And as far as the name goes, I didn't really know what we were going to be called, but most string quartets, whatever their name is, they often just go by their initials, an acronym of some kind, like ASQ or QSF. And I thought, it'd be so much more fun if just spelled something out. So how many words have SQ in them? The obvious one is squid. Of course. So Squid turned into an acronym for, it could be whatever you want it for, but this most appropriate thing seemed to be String Quartet in Denial, because I just felt like we're not going to be pigeonholed into any particular thing. We're going to do whatever we want. And so that's where the name came from.
After all these years, I never put the SQ together with the squid. I thought it was for the 8 tentacles, like the four 8 arms of the string quartet, the 4 people.
But that works too, right? It kind of ties it all together, right?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Beth, tell us a little about yourself and how you fit into the Squid Inc.
Well, Darcy and I have known each other for many years, well before Squid started, and I love to play with her. I was so happy when she said, hey, let's try this quartet stuff. But other than that, I live in Oakland. I play in several of the regional orchestras. I am really involved in Oakland's symphony education program. So that's a big passion of mine. I'm always interested in trying something different. I don't know what it is. So again, the Squid is part of that. And whenever I get an opportunity to do other projects, I love to jump into things that are not strictly classical, although I love classical as well.
Great. Nice to see you again, Beth.
Good to see you.
Jory, you're a violinist and also violist, but I think you play violin in this group. Tell us a little about yourself and how you've connected to the Squid.
I am a Bay Area native, actually, and made my way back here after being away from school. I think it's long. Every time I tell this story, I have to add more time now. So I think probably it's about 13 years now that I came back and started playing with SFCO right away, and working with Peiko and doing a lot of teaching, and then joined Squids that was pretty soon after that. It was pretty soon after that. And Squids have always been some of the most enjoyable, fun experiences that I've had with music. And Darcy's arrangements and tunes have been so amazing. Yeah, and Beth's also I find that it's like been musically so inspiring, and it's also worked so well for the instruments. Like, it sounds good. They're written very well for the instruments. And so we've had a lot of fun working on this. And now, with things kind of brought down because of the pandemic, I'm still getting to do a lot of teaching. And I have one group that is playing concerts right now, Chamber Music Society. And we're not meeting in person, but our cellist Sam has gotten quite good at taking the four of us playing in different places and recording and putting it together and actually making it really look like we're playing together as a string quartet and sound that way. So we've been producing concerts. It's been remarkably busy.
So you all have to check out the Chamber Music Society of San Francisco, because that's a fantastic group.
Yeah, we've been having fun.
Hrabba, you have made it from Iceland to California and back again.
Well,
Catch
yes.
us up on your. We miss you in Berkeley. Catch us up on your life and your experience with the Squids as well. Thank you.
Yes. Well, hi. Yes, it's been an interesting time, both in Iceland and with the Squids. With the Squids, it was always a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed to get to play that kind of music. I mean, I was kind of thrown into playing a lot of modern music in my life and in my days, marrying a composer. So I kind of got into that whole circle of life, and then getting to play a little bit of rock and roll, and that was also so nicely intertwined with classical music. It was kind of fun having those guessing games at rehearsals. So what pieces has Darcy now put in this one here? So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and just to get together, and play, it was wonderful. So I hope we get to do that again one day. On the other hand, my life in Iceland, well, we kind of are, kind of like scapegoats, what do you say in English, from America right now. I've decided to take my kids on a summer holiday here basically last year, and to come and visit my family. And then when things were not changing in the world, I decided to stay for a while. We are planning to come back though, however, but it's for now, it's just makes sense to be here. I'm also teaching online. It's happening, of course, with 8 hours time difference. So we have to plan for that. But my kids are going to school and I'm working as if I was there. So that's nice. It's just very eventful and interesting, and very good for my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so nice to see you. The first piece on your program today is Toxic, which is, I know I'm so pop musically challenged. Am I right? Is that Britney Spears? I got that right.
This is a combination of classical and pop music as well. It's Carmen is in there. José's Carmen is all over it. And one of the reasons it seems to work so well, and I don't know why that went this and this, these will fit together perfectly. I don't know how that happened. It just sort of did. It's delightful. It's fun to play. And it's a great way to start off a program for sure.
So the Squid Inc Quartet has played on our Classical at the Freight series for the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra several times, and this is actually why we're presenting this Classical Not at the Freight concert today. And I believe at the last show you premiered a new work by Darcy called 19, a tribute to the Granite Mountain Hotshots. And Darcy, you spoke a little about the piece dedicated to the hotshots, the firefighters in this. Well, why don't you explain it to us? I loved the piece, and maybe you'll tell us what we're about to watch and listen to.
Sure. So I've lived part-time in Arizona for 15 years or so, going back and forth. And in 2013, there were two big wildfires that affected the community here where I am in Prescott, Arizona. And the first one was called the Dosi Fire. And it was started probably by some target shooters who weren't being as careful as they should have been. And it was a very windy day. It was very dry. And that fire just took off and it headed straight for our community where we live. And we didn't quite have to evacuate. A lot of people near us did. And the reason why is because the hotshots, the firefighters nearby, they really came in and saved all the community. There were no structures burned. I mean, the forest burned, about 8,000 acres, but the hotshots were part of that. These hotshots were part of that event where they saved our community, a lot of different neighborhoods and communities in the area. So it was pretty devastating and very shocking, but everybody was okay. And then 2 weeks later, another fire started, a lightning fire strike, and they decided to let it burn. And the weather conditions started to change, so they sent back out the wildland firefighters, including these 20 hotshots, the Granite Mountain hotshots, and they got caught in an area where they didn't really have much maneuverability. And there was a very drastic change in the weather where the fire turned around 180 degrees and it killed 19 of these 20 hotshots. And that was devastating. It was national news, the largest loss of life of firefighters since 9/11. Big event. And so I wrote this piece telling the story of these two different events in my community. It means a lot to me. It's kind of hard to talk about it sometimes too. But so I wrote this in 2015. And since then, the West has just been on fire every year. This year was a terrible year in the Bay Area. I was in Arizona during it, but maybe anybody wants to communicate how they experienced the orange sky and the fires on the West, this devastating fire season. But it happens every year now. So this now to me becomes more of a tribute to all first responders and wildland firefighters. So
I remember waking up that morning when at 9 o'clock in the morning it felt like midnight, and the sky was orange and pink, and it felt very apocalyptic. And all of us in the Bay Area, the whole day was dark with this under scrim of fire glow coming from the fog and the clouds. And it really felt like the world had, like it was the end of the world. And, maybe it is. We hope not. But I was watching, you put a beautiful photographic slideshow to your piece that we're going to show to our viewers in a few moments. And it brought, I mean, not only is it very, the pictures are amazing and moving and touching and beautiful, but it brought back my experiences of the wildfires here the past couple of years. And now you're talking about this was 5 and 6 years ago. It's become such an event here on the West Coast, not only California, but Oregon and Washington and places where they've never had wildfires before, but now because of climate change, they are. So unfortunately, this is very apropos to our current times. Would you like to tell us how you did your photos? I'd love to have the audience share in this absolutely wonderful job you've done, Darcy, sort of adding an extra dimension to your music.
I was kind of just trying to communicate the story somewhat. Some of the photos are specifically from here in Arizona, but I've expanded it out to be more of a broader message. And I did get a lot of photos from just online as well. So there's some that are from the Big Basin Fire. You'll see in there. There are some that are firefighters from different places. So not everybody, I mean, a lot of the people you see in there are California fire, West Coast firefighters as well. And I was just trying to communicate a lot of different aspects of that experience, I guess, my own and what it might be like to be a hotshot specifically. And so it was really wonderful and emotional for me too, to go through and be trying to capture in a visual way what I was trying to write in a musical way, and played so amazingly by these three colleagues of mine. And so it is just an audio recording, and now with a visual story to go to help tell the story. Because when we have performed it in the past, we've done musical excerpts, very much like Ben does in the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra concerts, to help the listening experience. And so that's the visuals are designed to kind of help the experience of it. And again, I always felt you can experience it any way you want. You don't have to have my experience of it. But this is my experience of this music as I wrote it.
It's a spectacular presentation. I know you're going to enjoy this. Darcy, you just did it's such
Yeah.
a beautiful job. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Moving.
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
really.
music, I love the music when I heard it, but with the slides, it's just
Well,
Well, thank I.
this is how she explained it to us in the rehearsals too. It was very, when we were practicing. Do you remember, guys? It's like the starting of the fire, and here they're going there, and she had it all. She had the whole thing. The whole story was there. So that was really.
Well, thanks for checking it out, and I think the visuals really. I think it's a very emotional time right now in the world, and everything
No, it is.
just like, can I just stop,
honey,
please? Oh, yes. So, but thanks for checking it out. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
yeah, so it ends kind of with the hymn and on a sort of positive note. Then I figured that going on to Beth's tune, which is really about something positive coming out of something really
tragic.
quite tragic. Yeah, so that might be a good transition into that. So
Speaking of transitioning into Beth's piece, would you
Shall
like
we?
to tell us about Chain of Glow, Beth?
Absolutely. Yes. Chain of Glow is an original composition. This piece was inspired by a tragic event in my life. My brother died, and he died on September 1st, the same year of 9/11. So as I was processing the loss of my brother, I was also, as we all were, kind of bombarded by what was going on in our nation, and that loss, the whole 9/11 was just so tragic. And this was the first piece of music that I wrote after, and it was a few months later. And this song is about feeling the heaviness of going through some kind of loss, a tragic event, and then also sifting through it to find some hope to carry on. And I think, think about the year that we've just had, so many deaths in this whole world, that again, this kind of music is really meant to be a piece of healing. And the thing I find interesting about this piece, that's what, as Darcy just said, that's for her piece, this is what it means to her. For me, it was a piece of healing. But interestingly enough, when people hear this piece without the story attached, they're very moved by it. This has happened, through the years, and I'm struck always by the power of music with no words attached. So I hope people will enjoy this and just take from it what moves them. And it's really true. Sometimes I think it sounds a little cliche when in the arts we're always advocating for how important the arts are in the world, but they are important, because there is no better way to process all the celebrations, the sad times, and everything in between. The arts do it. And again, this is why it's so important that we are educators as well, and are always making sure that we're fighting for kids to get their arts education.
want to thank all four of you squiddies for joining us today from your far-flung locations. I know our audience has enjoyed seeing you all again. I know I have. And hearing your music again. I hope that we get to see and hear you again live really soon. Get Hrabba back from Iceland, or else, I think even better idea, Hrabba, we're all going to join you there.
Come.
I hear it's wonderful in Iceland. It's so great to see you. Take care and thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Bye, everyone.
A shout out to the Medallia Company for their generous sponsorship of the San Francisco Chamber Orchestra this season.